Hi, my name is Darrell. Welcome to TAG, the Armchair GM, and today we are going full deep dive on John Chayka's first offseason as Toronto Maple Leafs GM. This was not just a quiet summer retool. This was a cultural reset, a style reset, and thanks to one very lucky ping pong ball, a franchise reset. Let me break it all down. How we got here, what they did, what they didn't do, and where this team actually stands heading into 2026-27. Let's get into it. Pause. First, how did we even get here? Toronto finished dead last in the Atlantic. 32 wins, 36 losses, 14 overtime losses. They missed the playoffs for the first time in a decade. They lost their final 7 games of the season. Brad Treliving got fired March 30th. And on May 3rd, John Chayka walked in the door with Matt Sundin at his side as senior advisor. 10 days later, Craig Berube was shown the exit. Jim Hiller, who coached in L.A. and has prior Toronto ties, came in as head coach. Clean house, new voice, new direction. And then, the hockey gods intervened. Toronto won the draft lottery. A team that hadn't picked first overall since Auston Matthews in 2016 suddenly owned the number 1 pick. And with it, the rights to Gavin McKenna. McKenna, left wing out of Penn State, the consensus best player in the draft. Entry-level deal. Term 3 years, AAV $1.05 million, cap hit $1.05 million, cost controlled, elite ceiling, and now a Maple Leaf. That single lottery ball changed the entire framing of this offseason. Chayka wasn't just fixing a stale roster. He was suddenly balancing a win-now core against a franchise-altering teenager. That is a very delicate needle to thread. Pause. So what's the philosophy? Chayka has been explicit about it. Flexibility and optionality. Everything he did this summer reads like a man clearing runway. Shed contracts, get younger, get heavier, stabilize the crease, keep the books open to strike on a star. And the through line is this. Culture and style reset. The old Leafs were too soft, too top-heavy, too easy to push around in May. Nearly every move this summer pushes directly against that reputation. Pause. Let's go through the transactions. They brought in Nick Paul from Tampa Bay. Center/left wing, size, versatility, playoff grit down the middle. He is exactly what this team lacked. If you built a checklist of what the old Leafs needed physically, Nick Paul checks every box. Then the bigger defensive move, Darren Raddysh, sign and trade from Tampa, right shot puck mover, power play quarterback, and here is where I have to pause, because this is the contract that will be debated for years. 8 years, $68 million, $8.5 million AAV, $8.5 million cap hit, locked in through 2033-34. Look, the need is real. Toronto desperately needed a right shot defenseman who can run a power play. That's not debatable. But 8 years at $8.5 million is a serious overpay for a player who broke out late and profiles as a strong top 4, not a genuine number 1. If he's good, this is fine. If he ages badly, this contract is an anchor. That's the risk. I give Chayka credit for identifying the need. The term is what keeps me up at night. Pause. Now the goaltending. And this is boom or bust. Full stop. They moved Joseph Woll to Philadelphia. Got Samuel E.H.R. Son and Emil A.W. Andre back. Then immediately flipped E.H.R. Son to Ottawa for a 5th-round pick, using him as currency to clear cap. Smart asset movement. And then they went and signed Sergei Bobrovsky, age 38 in September. 3 years, $7 million per year, $7 million cap hit. Here's the honest take. Bobrovsky's career save percentage last season was .877. That is career worst. He is 38 years old. Those are the facts on one side of the ledger. On the other side, his playoff resume is elite. He reunites with former Florida partner Anthony Stolarz. And 3 years is a defensible term for a goalie you're bringing in to win now, not rebuild around. This is either playoff Bob showing up and giving you an A, or the age cliff arriving and giving you a D. There is very little in between. Goaltending grade, B-, fair but nervy. Pause. Let's talk about the blue line, which is honestly The soft spot of this entire offseason. Raddysh is here. Troy Staker signed for 2 years at $1.35 million. Emil A.W. Andre is depth. Brandon Carlo, who was a genuine defensive rock, is gone to St. Louis. And the Werenski situation. We'll get to that. The blue line is younger. It is more mobile. But it is arguably worse defensively than it was last year. And Morgan Rielly, the longest-serving Leaf, a player who has a no-move clause, his future in Toronto is unsettled. Rielly reportedly gave a list with Western teams, Anaheim, San Jose, among them. The read on this is that the team nudged that door open more than Rielly demanding out, but that situation has not resolved, and it hangs over everything. Rielly, no-move clause, AAV $7.5 million, cap hit $7.5 million, a potential trade that would need his sign-off, and a defense that already does not have a bona fide number one. Pause. Which brings us to Zach Werenski, and the move that would have changed everything. Toronto built the cap space and the assets for one purpose, to land a genuine top-pairing defenseman. Werenski was the target. Columbus's GM actually lined up a Dallas deal. Werenski knew about it. And then, July 1st, he used his no-move clause to block it, said he was staying in Columbus, called the whole thing blown out of proportion. That door's closed. And here's what that means for Chayka. You paid Raddysh top 4+ money and still don't have a true number one defenseman. That is the single biggest unresolved problem on this roster. Defense grade C+. Pause. Now the forward group, and this is where things look genuinely good. The heaviness problem got addressed. Nick Paul adds size and bite. Jack Roslovic signed. 2 years, $4 million. Scoring touch and versatility. Colton SIHA Sons. 2 years, $4.25 million. Real center depth and one of the best penalty killers in the league. Teddy Bluger. 2 years, $2.5 million. Same profile. Reliable. Brandon Duhaime. Zach McEwen. Sandpaper. The grit this group was missing for years. And the core stays intact. Auston Matthews, who is on LTIR right now with a knee injury, but insiders peg at 95% to play next season. 4 years remaining. $13.25 million AAV. $13.25 million cap hit. He is the engine. And critically, the read is that the aggressiveness of this offseason is what kept him bought in. That may be Chayka's most important, least tangible win. William Nylander, John Tavares entering his age 36 season. Matthew Knies, 23 years old, 4 years remaining at $7.75 million. No trade protection. Easton COH1 pushing for a spot. The projected first line, McKenna, Matthews, Nylander. Read that out loud. That is a line. Forward grade, B+. They got tougher to play against without gutting the skill. That is exactly what was needed. Pause. One more live wire, and this matters if you care about where this team is in 3 years. Toronto does not control their own 2027 or 2028 first-round picks. They're owed out via the Law Toon deal, among others. The draft cupboard is thin, which means every McKenna-era decision carries extra weight. If they swing and miss on a big move, they can't easily reload through the draft. The McKenna timeline is also a real balancing act. Teams that win the lottery usually aren't trying to win now. If he hits the ground running next to Matthews, this is a legitimate contender. If he needs a runway, and that's normal for an 18-year-old, it complicates the win-now push. Pause. So what's the overall verdict? Grade the process? It's strong. Chayka inherited a stale, soft, playoff-flopping roster, and in under 2 months, changed the goaltending, changed the identity, kept his franchise center engaged, banked cap flexibility, and landed a potential generational winger. But 2 things keep it from an A. 1. The Raddysh contract. 8 years at $8.5 million is the kind of term that can age into an anchor. Bold, defensible on need, real risk on execution. 2. The blue line still lacks a true number one. The Werenski swing was the move that would have fixed it. He stayed. The hole is unaddressed. Final grade, B+.